Rick, how you doing, man?
Good, Travis. How are you, bud?
I'm good, man. This is a real treat for me, man. I've been a big fan of your work for a long time, so I appreciate these few minutes you're taking with me.
Well, I like look at you, handsome dude with that backdrop. It's working. I like it.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah, man. I think you've been on quietly on a terrific roll, but we
Thank
can
you.
talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about Kandahar. Um, this is a movie that for me I was taken a little bit surprised by. I didn't know what to expect from it, and I should know better. Every single movie you do seems to take me by surprise. But talk to me a little bit about where how this came about for you and what drew you into wanting to make this movie.
Well, Travis, first of all, thank you for what you said. That's music to my ears because I am trying to keep this kind of role going in a way of finding genres that maybe we've seen a lot of, but give you a different point of view, a different lens, right? You know, we'd seen a ton of comet movies before, but Greenland just spoke to me because it was about the human experience in life or death, you know, when it could be the end of the world. And then look, we go into a pandemic and live it for real. And
Right.
when I read Kandahar for the first time, not only did I know it was authentic, it was written by Mitch LaFortune, who was in the Defense Intelligence Agency and did 4 tours in Afghanistan, but it gave you a different point of view and it reminded me so much of Sicario, where it took you into the war on drugs, but it gave you the human factor on all sides of the equation. And you kind of understood more of what was at stake and why the cycle keeps continuing. And that's what Kandahar does. It doesn't give you just the Western point of view. Mitch was trying to give you his point of view of what it was like to operate in a sector where you have multiple countries with their own agendas. One day somebody's ally could be their adversary the next. And that even though the war is over, and that this is not a war movie, right? This is the spy game. It's the spy world where they're all out there still trying to operate, but there's a lot of people on the other side of the equation that we call the enemy for good reason, but they're just trying to get back to their families as well, right? They're not the ones enforcing or inflicting policy. They're just sent to enforce it, and just the way that we are, right? So it got to get. It's like 30,000 feet is the politics, and we operate down here on the ground. We're with the operators on the ground that are just trying to survive, and one day they're the hunter, and one day they're the hunted, and I just love that. I love that it showed you a different way in through that world, and that's the uniqueness of Kandahar.
You shot this largely in Saudi Arabia, am I right? I mean, and which I don't think there's been very many U.S. productions that have done that. Talk to me about the some of the challenges that were involved. You shot some in Jeddah, right? Am I
Yeah,
correct?
well, it's funny because Basil Iwanek is my producer, you know, who just, you know, the John Wick franchise and Sicario. We did Greenland together in National Champions. And then he brings me the script Kandahar, and it was so authentic. I was like, we're not shooting this in New Mexico. Okay. We're going to the real thing. He
Right.
goes, well, it's just so funny. Careful what you wish for. And I found out about what's going on in Saudi Arabia, how much they're bringing culture to the kingdom and how they're changing their ways and what they're doing there. And we ended up becoming the first Hollywood major motion picture to shoot in Saudi Arabia since Lawrence of Arabia.
Wow.
So the landscapes that you see most of them have never been shown on camera ever. And other ones haven't been seen in 70 years, you know, with modern technology. So for me, I didn't want the movie to feel like the last 20 years of films that I've seen of Afghanistan and the Middle East, where they're always dirty and grimy and desaturated. I wanted to show you the beauty of the region. I wanted it to be a little bit of a National Geographic way as we're going through here and just blowing up a lot of stuff and huge action ride, but show you the beauty of the region as well.
I think you definitely achieved that. I love this partnership that you seem to have with Gerard Butler. I think the movies you've done with him have like taken his career in a whole new path. I think he's a better actor since he started working with you. Talk to me a little bit about what you two have found together. You two have clearly found something that's working. What is it that you two have found together that just clicks?
Passion, that we're both very passionate about what we do. Neither of us want to phone it in. And we also, which I love about Jerry, is he doesn't have a problem of showing his masculinity through being vulnerable and raw emotion. And a lot of our heroes, they want to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof and impervious to pain and not have a single flaw, but that's not who we are, right? We're all dealing with our own imperfections and our own demons and so forth. And that journey started with Mike Banning on Angel Has Fallen. It was taking a guy that can knock down 100 people and not have a scratch on him to making him a guy that's a pill popping, Secret Service agent that's chasing his own mortality and not trying to hang up the gun. But what are the costs of that? What are the ramifications of when we grow older and we're Tom Brady still trying to play in the NFL, or we're soldiers out there in the battlefield when we should be home, maybe, hanging it up. And that was fun to do and make a different type of action hero where he was a man of action. And then Greenland became the human, right? The mortal guy that had no special skill sets. All he had was his heart and his own will to survive. And how far would you push your own morality to keep your family safe, right? These are all the questions we have as people, so we relate to them. Kandahar puts it all together. It takes the guy and puts him back into having a special set of skills, but he's dealing with his own demons, his own flaws, the fact that he's addicted to the adrenaline rush of war and being in danger, that he's more at home in the chaos than he is trying to go home to his daughter's graduation, and doesn't even know what to buy her or who she is because he's never been home in 20 years. So it's fun that Jerry's able to go into these places and show the relatable qualities that we have as human beings, but do it in a big commercial action movie so we can have a great time, big action ride. Hopefully we're not preaching to you. We're not giving you our opinion. We're just taking you on a journey so that you walk out of the theater and hopefully you've been really entertained, but you got something to talk about. It's like a different point of view of the Middle East this time.
I like that you call him Jerry. What are some of the unique challenges you face in a movie like this, shooting in a movie like this? How were you treated by the people, like where you were shooting at? Like, were they welcoming to the production? Like, how did that go about?
Yeah, at first it's kind of like all of us, right? You see somebody the first time that's very different from you and they look like an alien. And then the more that you get to know them, you realize, Jesus, we're just the same people, right? We're all no different. And that happened. We brought 450 people from 25 countries into Saudi Arabia, all religions, both genders, sexual orientation, everybody was there. And it was this big melting pot. And it was beautiful because it was in the middle of the pandemic. A lot of people living with a lot of tension. And we all came together like a big family, with including the Saudis. The bigger issue with the movie was we were not just making a movie, we were inventing their movie business at the same time. So we were literally having to invent our own infrastructure from the ground up on everything, including housing in the middle of the Arabian desert where there's not that much, there's not like, 5-star hotels sitting there, right? So we had to it was about the support of the movie, not only making the movie, that became the movie within the movie. It was, it reminded me a little bit, I used to call it Apocalypse Now, the Saudi Arabia version, because it was about the way that they went into the Philippines, and created Apocalypse Now and the behind the scenes. I wish we had a real behind the scenes documentary because it would be a movie in itself.
It sounds like a really kind of a high pressure situation, man. I mean, was this the most difficult shoot of your career, or were there others?
This was by far the most difficult because, again, it was not just making a movie where you go to a place and everything's there for you. The infrastructure's set up. There's crew people that know what they're doing. We had to bring everybody in, every single tool, everything came in. Now, Saudi Arabia is in its infancy of what's called Vision 2030, where they're bringing culture to the region, and their film business is brand new, right? It's they're just out of the womb and getting going here at our scale. And they're going to catch on fast. And we watched that. By the end of the shoot, a lot more Saudis really understood what we were doing and really embracing and excited about their generation of what they're going to be as filmmakers. And I think you're going to see a lot of great material and great movies come out of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I was going to ask. It sounds like you really kind of hit it off there. It's like, would you be willing to shoot more films there in Saudi Arabia?
Absolutely. I think that I really love going and exploring new places and new cultures. And that was one of my biggest things of shooting this movie was I had all of these great technicians around me, but I really wanted to experience the culture and try to put that on the screen, and the way that our country and a lot of places around the world are dealing with the conservative movement that's clashing with people that want more progressive ways. It's no different in the Middle East. There's the ultra conservative movement that doesn't want anything to change over the last hundreds of years. And there's a new generation of the younger generation that doesn't want that anymore. They want culture. You see that with Ali Fazal's character, Kahil, who's this Pakistani ISI operator. He's the hunter trying to find, Gerard Butler. And he meets with the Taliban and he's in traditional garb and a turban. And he walks out and he puts on Gucci sunglasses and he's smoking a vape pen to listen to hip hop. That's not a caricature. That wasn't trying to be funny. That's what's happening over there. That's real, and it was really fun to show the diversity of what's going on there and the different kind of clashes of people's political views and their own religious point of views and so forth, and put it in this big melting pot that, we're not documentarians, right? We're entertainers. And my first and foremost job is to hopefully put your butt in a theatrical experience with a tub of popcorn and have a huge, big action ride and fun, but come out and know a little bit more of them than when you went in.
To that end, man, I've been a big fan of the way you shoot action. Like even some of the smaller scale movies, like I mentioned Snitch. I love Snitch. And
Thank you.
Even pretty much everything you do, the way you shoot action has a real visceral quality to it. What's your approach to filming a good action scene? Because everybody has a different idea on how to do it. What's your approach to doing that?
I'm glad you asked that. Because I get the question a lot, and I also have been told that I shoot like old school style action, and then I'm old school. My thing is about authenticity, right? The movies that I do, they might be heightened, like there might be a big drone attack on the lake, with the president and Mike Banning trying to protect him, and in this case, huge Fury Road gauntlet runs in the desert with massive explosions that are all real. They were one of the top 3 explosions ever done on camera. Like they're huge. We shook the airport 5 kilometers away, what we were doing. But what makes my action different, or my approach to making my action different, is emotion, emotion, emotion. It's about how to root the audience into what the character is doing. So if the character is in the gauntlet run for their lives, or is scared of a helicopter at night, or having an emotional cheer or response of the good guys beating the bad guys in a moment, we're in an emotional thrust of what's going on. And that maybe harkens back to my first career in the stunt community. When I was a stuntman, people used to always ask me what it was like to do stunts. And that kind of struck a chord with me of that's what my action needs to be. My action needs to have an emotional quality to it, to where I put you in an IMAX experience for the first time of what it's like to be in a car chase with explosions going around you, what it's like to have a helicopter in the sky, that's trying to hunt you down. Like, I want you to be emotionally attached to what's going on, because otherwise, for me, it doesn't matter how much money you put on the screen. Action just for the sake of action is mindless, and my eyes roll over just like yours do. So for me, it's about the integrity of the emotional journey.
Well, we got about out of time here, but I wanted to quickly ask you, what do you hope that audiences take away from the film when they go to see this weekend?
We're in a weird spot now where post the pandemic, we have these huge tent poles, the Little Mermaid, and we got Fast 10 and the Jurassic Parks, and those movies are phenomenal and they're getting people back to theaters. But I want people to remember these movies that we had pre-pandemic, the Kandahars and the Angel Has Fallens and the Man on Fires. These movies that are these adult-driven action movies that we've always loved for generations. We need to support them. We need to get them. I want to continue to make these. I love making these type of movies, but we need people to go to the theaters and support them and start finding that entertaining experience, of that communal experience. We all sit in a theater together and have a big thrill ride. So hopefully that's what happens with Kandahar, and it continues this journey. For us, we're the underdogs now, these type of movies, and I'm going to keep fighting the fight. So hopefully you can help me, man, and put butts in seats, because, I want to keep going.
Well, as a fan of your work and the types of movies that you make, I agree with you, and I wish you the best of success with Kandahar. Rick, thank you so much for taking this time with me. I hope to talk to you again about whatever you're coming up next, or any of your past movies, whatever you want to talk about, man. I love to do it again sometime. So thank you.
You got it, Travis. I really appreciate your support, bud.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.